Psychologists have determined that it takes 1/10 of a second to form an impression of a stranger. It is one of the most basic human instincts to develop a perception of something based on its external factors. Every single person in this room, including myself, is guilty of this. Formulating an opinion on someone, pretending that we know them, we find reasons to automatically like or dislike someone, classifying them into stereotypes and groups in our mind. However, we do not truly know their experiences or opinions or ideas. In fact, we really have no idea who they actually are. On the surface, I am viewed as the privileged private school girl. While this is true, and I am extremely lucky, my story, like most people's, is a little bit more complex. Hi everyone, my name is McAleese for those of you who don't know me, and today I'll be giving you more context as to who I am and the importance of taking the time to fully understand people's experiences and how they differ from you. To begin, my parents did not grow up with money. My mother moved from Great Britain to Burlington, Ontario as a child with very little. She worked several jobs throughout high school and saved enough money to put herself through McGill University's commerce program. My father was the last of 4 children in a dysfunctional household. He was naturally gifted and excelled in math and English, but never attended university or college. He worked small jobs at the age of 19 while earning his real estate license on the side. He worked extremely hard and built the life my brother and I have today. The first time I ever experienced hardship was on my 10th birthday. My birthday is January 1st, and every year on New Year's Day, my entire extended family would come over and celebrate with me. This particular year, my brother Cole, who was 11 at the time, had a cold. I distinctly remember being so annoyed that on my 10th birthday, one I'd been looking forward to for so long, he was stealing the attention away from me as concerned relatives asked how he was feeling. The next day, we went off to our old chalet in Ellicottville, which is just outside Buffalo. I was woken the next morning in a panic at 4 a.m. because Cole had developed a 106-degree fever, and my mom rushed us home across the border. He was misdiagnosed with the flu at a local hospital, but after quickly deteriorating, they moved to McMaster Children's Hospital. There, it was discovered he had meningitis and encephalitis, a septic infection, strep A invasive blood disease, orbital cellulitis, ileus, a gas pocket in his brain, and multiple organ failures in his body. My parents were told there was an extremely low chance of his survival. The next few days were a blur. I went and stayed with my aunt, and I honestly had no idea what was going on. No one did. This 11-year-old boy that was skiing just 24 hours earlier was all of a sudden on the brink of dying. Cole ended up pulling through those next few days, but we soon realized that this was only the beginning. Over the next year, I lived at different relatives' houses and friends' houses and moving around constantly. They would drive me to and from school, making me breakfast, lunch, and dinner, helping me with homework, trying to make my life as normal as possible for a 10-year-old. I saw my dad occasionally, but my mom for the most part lived in the hospital. There were some good days and lots of bad days. After months of not knowing how to save Cole, the hospital flew in an experimental drug from China, and for some unknown medical reason, still a mystery to this day, he survived. It was many years of physical and emotional recovery, but this story ultimately had a happy ending. Once this chapter in our lives closed, my parents decided to invest in our education both in and outside the classroom. My parents sent my brother and I to Appleby, and we began to travel. I was put in an extremely privileged position. At Appleby, I began embracing all the opportunities available to me. I signed up for domestic and international conferences, exchanges, cultural trips, anything that would improve my perspective and give me the experience necessary to pursue my newfound passion. I've traveled throughout Europe, Asia, North America, and Africa, visiting a total of 28 countries throughout my life. I participated in traditional fire festivals on the island of Crete, watched geishas dance in Japan, visited concentration camps in Germany and Austria, attended the Russian ballet's production of Swan Lake, climbed mountains in Switzerland, cooked with nonas in Italy, and played soccer with children in the Atlas Mountains. These experiences have shaped me into the person I am today, and I can confidently say I've learned more from my travels than anything I've ever learned in a physical classroom. I've had the opportunity to meet people from every possible background, economic status, and religion. Through observing and immersing myself into others' lives, I found a perspective that took me beyond Appleby and Burlington. It was through asking questions and having these conversations with people that have a completely different outlook on life, I realized the importance of taking the time to fully understand and listen to others. Here at Appleby, we have these opportunities available to us. Whether it's on our campus or on the other side of the world, I encourage you to embrace everything that comes your way. It will be worth it. I'll admit, I used to be someone that was very closed off. I had a very negative mindset and outlook on the world. I worried about superficial things and thought actually caring about something meaningful was stupid. It took me a while to change the selfish and shallow outlook on life, but when I did, I finally felt happy. I realized I cared too much about what other people thought about me and instead focused on how I could be a better person. The only way you're able to change someone's perspective of you is by showing them what you're capable of and believing in yourself first. I realized my true potential by doing things that scared me. For example, going on an exchange alone in grade 7. Looking back, I have absolutely no idea how I had the courage to just go and live with a stranger's family alone for 2 weeks. But I ended up meeting some of the nicest people on that trip, friends I still keep in touch with today. Or when I billeted with a family in New York. The mom was the coolest woman who worked on Wall Street. She took me to dinner one night, and I learned that she used to work in the Twin Tower buildings. And on 9/11, she just happened to not go to work that morning because she had an appointment to get her wedding dress fitted. Life is full of little moments like this that alter your perspective entirely. If you don't put yourself out there, you're never going to have those experiences. You'll not only learn about others by doing this, but a lot about yourself. The thing is, if you met me back in grade 7, when I first entered Appleby, and you based your entire opinion of me from who I was then, you'd probably still think I was that same person. However, these experiences that I've had in the last 6 months or 6 years have completely changed me. I'm a very different person, and I believe this holds true for a lot of people. People change and grow. First impressions, although important, should not determine your whole outlook on an individual. Instead, give someone a second chance, because you know what? They might surprise you. It's funny. We go to school with the same people, some for even 6 years, but a lot of the time we don't really know them at all. We don't know what struggles they've been through, any life-changing moments they may have had, their outlook or philosophy on life. Sure, they might have been in your math or English class, or even the same home form or advisor. But the reality is, for the most part, we don't take the time to engage with anyone that's not in our friend group. The amount of insanely cool people I've gotten to know in my grade 11 and 12 years, it honestly just makes you think, I wish I took the time to talk to you 4 years ago. So, my advice, whether it's your first year at Appleby or your last, make the most of the rest of your time here. Don't make assumptions about people just because they seem different from you. And if you do make an assumption, give yourself permission to be wrong and permission to take the time to learn their stories and have an open mind. I promise you won't regret it, and at the end of the day, you have nothing to lose. Now would you please rise to sing the hymn, Draw the Circle Wide.